Hey guys, I picked up something really cool today. At least I think it's cool. I haven't been really posting much, but I'm going to change that up. I've been really busy. So Happy New Year. I'm looking forward to 2021 and getting a bunch of photography stuff going. So let's take a look at this thing. I just grabbed it. Very cool. What's even more cool is I got it from the person that sold me the Rolleiflex back in the day with the whole kit. I'll put a link to that in the description below. So that's pretty cool. I haven't heard from her in years. So this is the macro bellows for the Leica camera. I've kind of figured it out. This is cool. It's a handwritten note from my friend. I'm not going to open it here, but you don't see a lot of handwritten notes anymore. Not sure what that is. I am sure what this is though. So the case is pretty cool too. It's very minty and it came with both original keys. To me, that's crazy, but awesome. All right, let's take a look at the setup. This is called Visoflex or Visoflex. I'm not sure how you pronounce it. And that part of the system here is the back, and I'll go over that in a second. And then of course you got the bellows, and then you have the lens. In this case, it is a 135 millimeter Elmar lens, and it's an f4. This is supposed to be a very sharp lens, and this is just the head of the lens. I'll show you that. This is not the whole body. If you had the rest of it, obviously you could put it on your Leica, but as it sits right now, if it'll come out, just the lens head, the glass, and the aperture. All right, so as mentioned, this has the 135 millimeter f4 Elmar lens. This kit came with different lenses. Behind that, of course, is the bellows, and this is how you adjust focus by moving the bellows in and out. Of course, the lens in and out, and it's very precise. Yeah, it's very tight. It's just a piece of precision goodness. So that's how that guy works. The rail has increments on it, and behind the bellows is the Visoflex or Visoflex system. And what it is you have this housing here that the camera attaches to. This is your mirror lockup right there, flash shoe. And on top of that, this I believe is a 5x magnifier eyepiece, and this just pops off. So I'm going to take the eyepiece off and show you that. And it just unscrews. You can see the red dot here that you line up to put it on, just like other Leica stuff. So that you line it up and you just turn it and it kind of locks into place. So that's it there, and it's very minty. And this is your diopter, so you can see how that adjusts. So you can get this bang on as far as focus. So that's that guy. So this piece here is the iFlex, and I'll take you over here and show you what's going on there. Okay, so here you go. Here's the iFlex, and you can see right now that is just a piece of glass. It's not ground glass, just nice and clear. And when you rotate this wheel, it throws in the ground glass. So that's it. And there's no names on any of these parts, which is kind of weird. Visoflex isn't. I can't find it anywhere. There's no serial number, so it's really kind of hard to tell what you have. It's not just a name you can punch in, well, until you figure out what they're called. Again, this is an iFlex. It took me a couple hours to figure out that, find info on it. And of course I did on them internets. So that's it. And right now it's set up for portrait mode, and you can change the whole system into landscape, which changes everything around. And I'll show you how to do that. It's pretty cool. It took me a little bit to figure out. So next up is the Visoflex housing. I believe that's what it's called. This guy comes off so you can mount your camera, and this whole thing detaches from the bellows, and I'll show you that. There's a big screw on the bottom here, knurled knob, that comes up through this plate and goes into this housing body. And that's it. It just comes right out, and it fits so tight there's no light leaks, well, as far as I can tell so far. That's it. There's the guy. Let's take a look inside it, and I'll show you what else is going on. So here's the housing, and you're looking at it through the front, so the bellows would be in front of it here. And what you're seeing now is the glass, or the mirror, and there's the mirror lockup. And then if I take the back plate on it, you should see the fire. So that directly opens up to the camera body. And let's see if you can see that. And you can lock the mirror up by just screwing down this little ring that's around it. So that's it, mirror lock up, and away you go. So what's happening here is, of course, when you're looking through that eyepiece and the mirror's down, you can get focus on your subject. You're looking down through the eyepiece and it's looking out through the lens with that mirror. And let's take a look at that eye flex thing again, just from a different angle. So there it is again, and we have the clear glass on it right now, and then we're just gonna swap out for the ground glass by twisting it. And there it is. So I just learned about all this stuff. Again, I just picked it up and wasn't really 100% sure on, exactly how it works. What's going on here is this is an early one, and I didn't know there was different models of this. And again, there's no serial number stamped on this that I can find anywhere to tell me what year this was made. 50s for sure, maybe early 60s at the very most. So this guy is an M39 screw mount. What you're looking at here on this side is the camera end. That's where your camera mounts to. The issue I had was I didn't figure this out until yesterday. So the M3 is not an M39 screw mount. I did not know this was even a screw mount or how it mounted, to tell you the truth. So this isn't gonna fit my M3. But I do have a M mount to M39 adapter that goes on your lenses, and then you can pop it on your Leica, and I'll show you that here. This is my Jupiter lens, and it of course has a M39 screw mount just like this. And on it, I have an M mount adapter, so it fits into my M3 or M9 or whatever you have, M10, any of these newer M's, I guess you'd say. I thought, okay, well, I'll put this adapter and I'll screw it on this guy and mount my Leica M3 on there. So it fits, no problem, that works well. But the issue you have is it doesn't, when I put my Leica on there, my M3, it doesn't go full 90 degrees, doesn't lock into a proper angle. And this thing only has two angles, portrait and landscape. Another issue, I think, even if I did line it up, was now I have the thickness of this M39 to M mount that might mess up the focus. It's about 1/8 of an inch thick steel there, and that might have screwed it up. So my Leica M3, sadly, is not gonna fit on there. And again, that's because this is an older model. So they did have this same mount, a newer version of it in the 60s that had the M mount already attached to it. Not like this. It's so when you put your M3 on it or whatever, it cranks in at perfect 90 degrees, and then it'll do portrait landscape. It fits perfectly. So this one doesn't do that, but luckily I have something that will fit on this. All right, so I'm gonna take this guy off here and put it back on the Jupiter. What does work with this system is my old Zorky. This will work, and why this will work is this has a M39 mount. So this guy pops right off, whoops, unscrews, and now I can mount it on this camera. So that's awesome. I'm gonna use this, I'm gonna fill this up with some film, and we'll run a roll through it in part 2, but we'll mount this and I'll show you how it works. So again, there you have it. There's the camera end, and you can see it's lined up at portrait mode, and I'll show you how to change that. So this guy just screws on. It's easier to do this obviously without the bellows attached, so that's why I'm doing it like that. I don't want to put a hole through those bellows. The only way you can put this on is if it's in portrait mode, and I'll show you why that is in about 2 seconds here. So this guy lines up perfectly. It kind of clicks right in there. It's ready to go. So this guy again is mounted like that. It's ready to go onto the bellows. Now to put it into landscape mode, you push this little side button on the housing, and watch what happens. The whole thing flips around and goes over top of the camera. That's why you can't put it on like that, because this guy's gonna get in the way. But isn't that cool? So when you turn the camera into horizontal or landscape mode, the whole system rotates. So now your ground glass or whatever glass you're using up here is lined up the same way as the camera. It's very cool. You know what, you gotta wonder what this would cost today to put something together like this. Pretty impressive. All right, let's get the bellows on this thing and put it back together. So there you go, there's the camera. And I'm gonna put on the eyepiece or the magnifier. And again, you just gotta line up these two red dots and lock it in. So that's that. And now we'll put the bellows on. So this is a little safer to do if you close these bellows right up, so I'm going to do that. I don't want to poke a hole in them. So I'm just cinching them down, winding that wheel so they're tight. There you go. And this guy sits on top, fits right in there. And this is kind of tricky to do. And I'm going to crank this guy in, and it fits inside that housing. And they're fairly large machine threads, so it goes in pretty good. There you go, that's tightened up. And what's cool about this as well, it fits in the case like this. So even the shutter release cable, and this one's a dual, is just a piece of work. Like the quality, like the craftsmanship is insane. You just don't see this anymore. I guess that's why I like it. I like shiny metal things. So that's that, and of course you got the lock there, and this operates both at the same time. When you look at these two cables, one has a black stripe around the housing, and this is a threaded housing, and the cable is longer coming out of this one. So I'm thinking this is probably for the mirror lockup, and it screws over top of that, and the other one would go onto your shutter release. So we'll see if that's true. On this Zorky, there's a little shroud you pull off. There it is there, and I think I probably wrecked it. There's a little shroud you pull off. The little button comes out of it, and now I can screw on this cable. And it fits on, just screws on like that. And this guy does the same. And again, this one's a little bit longer cable, so I'm thinking you want the mirror to go up maybe just a hair before the shutter. So I'm gonna cock this and see if it works. Yep, all is well. So I think that's what's happening. What I might do, because I'm not 100% sure, I think that mirror is going up first and then it's taking a picture. But I don't know if I'm going to use this. I'm going to just lock the mirror up after I focus and then take the shot. I don't want to go through a roll and get nothing. So that's how I'm going to do this. So this setup of Visoflex, or Visoflex, I guess it's Visoflex, is set up for the earlier Leicas. It's the M39 mount Leicas, like the Leica 2 and the Leica 3. So that's what this guy was set up for in the 50s, early 50s. And after this, they did make one with an M mount, which would fit on my M3 or your new digital M's. But luckily I have this Zorky, which is from 1952, and it's a 100% knockoff of the Leica 2 and Leica 3 cameras. There's tons of info on YouTube about those cameras, and they're pretty cool. It works well. And you know, it's not a Leica, but it will definitely do the job here for me. And maybe this will be my new dedicated camera body. Or maybe I'm gonna have to buy a Leica 3. I've always wanted one. I think it's the 3F that I'm jonesing for, but that would be a cool camera to snag, but I think they're pretty expensive now. They're around 1,200 bucks or so. But anyway, I'm gonna try this thing. I'm gonna stuff this old Zorky full of some film. And in the next episode here, part 2 of this, we're gonna get out and shoot this, do some macro stuff. I also wanna see if this goes to infinity. Thanks for watching, and I will get part 2 up here shortly.